This week, guest speaker, Unity Center chaplain Phil Dietz looks at gratitude. Phil looks at the fact that gratitude is not necessarily easy and offers some spirit-based suggestions for increasing our connection to the divine.
Thank you for being here today. Happy Thanksgiving. How many of you are exceedingly thankful that Thanksgiving is over for another year? How many of you are having that thought during Thanksgiving? Yeah. How many people are already looking forward to Christmas being over with? So I'm always honored to be here. It's always an honor to be able to stand here where Reverend Wendy stands, Reverend Kathy stands, where Peter Boland stands. And I want to give a shout out to Peter Boland. He gave one of the best talks on gratitude, say the last year or the year before. For those of you that didn't hear it, let me just say gratitude is good for you. And we'll leave it at that. He also wrote a wonderful piece on Facebook about gratitude and the importance of his gratitude work. And I wanted to talk about gratitude too. And as I did my research and I looked at it, I realized a couple of things. One, gratitude has taken over pop culture in ways that even yoga hasn't. If you type in the word gratitude, you are going to see hundreds of articles on different angles. The 5 ways to be grateful, the 10 things to do for gratitude, why gratitude is good for you. The favorite one I found was a journal article from a clinician's medical journal on the role of gratitude in anaerobic heart failure. I didn't pronounce that right, but you get the idea. That's how deep we are as a culture into gratitude. And yet, one of the things that I rarely saw is something that I experienced, and I've learned that when I experience things, usually at least a couple others do, which is gratitude is hard. It's not easy. It certainly isn't easy all the time. And yet, in all of these things I read, nobody talked about the fact, oh, by the way, this may be challenging. In that same way, how many of you read articles about how easy meditation is? Okay. I'm going to break it to you. Guess what? It's work. And it can be challenging, and it can be frustrating, and it's well worth it. But the same's true with gratitude. It's work. But I think it's a disservice sometimes in making it seem easy. In making it seem like by creating a list, and I'm not saying that's bad, but that's enough. I had a great pastrami sandwich. I am very grateful for it. Lean pastrami. But that's not necessarily gratitude. They're saying thank you and there's being grateful. How many of you have been in relationships where you could tell the difference between someone saying thank you and someone being grateful? How many of you have ever held yourself diminished, and I'm going to raise my hand, because gratitude wasn't easy for you? That somehow I should just be able to flip a switch and be glad that a Steinway piano has not hit me in the head today like a Looney Tune cartoon. Gratitude is hard. So we just exhale for a second and realize that gratitude can be hard work. It's a spiritual practice. It's worth it. If you look through the centuries, eons, you will find gratitude mentioned as a spiritual practice. And in my research, I discovered 2 interesting facts, and these are scientific facts. One of them is really useful for the talk. The other is just interesting, and I can't avoid telling you. The first is that gratitude is incredibly complex from a brain chemistry standpoint. Happiness is relatively easy. You know, if they hook us up with all the stuff and they watch, and you give us a cookie, and we like the cookie, somewhere in our brain goes bing. Okay, awesome. At gratitude, 3, 4, 5 different places all go pop. It is a very complex emotional state. And yet, we want to make it simple, don't we? We want to make it easy. And I looked at something because I was trying to find scripture, and I looked and I realized, do you know I cannot find any place in the Bible where God says thank you? Not one. Moses gave up being a prince in probably the wealthiest, most advanced kingdom currently on the earth. He then wandered off in the desert with a bunch of people who, from what I've read, pretty much complained constantly. You think at the end of it he might have gotten a, hey, good job. Thanks, Moses. May have happened, no one wrote it down. You think Abraham, hey, Abraham, you were willing to kill your own son for me. Thank you, I appreciate the loyalty. But it's not there, is it? And what's funny is as I thought about it, I realized it's almost inconceivable, right? That God, especially Sky Dad God, would say thank you. But is that healthy? How many of you have had relationships, serious relationships, where you were thankful and grateful, and in that, and the other person offered no gratitude, no thanks? Was that healthy? And yet we're okay, biblically, with Sky Dad never expressing thanks. People sacrifice their lives constantly in the Bible. Never a hint of expressing gratitude. Have a couple of guys love each other, city goes boom. But thank you? Not so much. And then I realized, anyone here familiar with the concept of projection? Yeah, that's where we look at someone else's stuff and go, hey, look at you. Your God never says thanks. And then you realize how it impacts yourself, how it impacts me. Because in New Thought, we think very differently. Most of you know this, but I always love saying it, so I'm going to say it. And that's, in many religions, God and the creation are separate. In unity, God and the creation are one. The Creator and the creation are together. God is all there is. We are one with God. It's amazing, this belief system. And yet I realized two things. One, for me, when I was thanking God for something, thank you for blank, I'm grateful for blank, I really was externalizing the divine at that point. When I was saying thank you, I was acknowledging the God outside of myself. I was in a place of separation. And it's interesting because we're taught that being grateful is a spiritual practice. We're taught that being grateful is good for us, and it is, and it is. Please don't leave here and say, Reverend Wendy, Phil said gratitude. No. It's on tape, I'll prove it. But seriously, it feels like gratitude is one of the most externalizing pieces of my spiritual life. How many of us do that? And so I realized, and so I thought, and then I started thinking, but wait a minute. What if, and again, in unity we do not believe that God is a person or even has a personality. God is principle. God is how things work. God is this loving truth that binds us all as one. And what would it be like if we took time, like we did today, to experience gratitude from God, from the universe? If we sat down at the end of our day and said, that moment where I did that thing that was kind, may the universe say thank you. Humanity as a whole, the oneness, experience that as good and express gratitude. How many of us are uncomfortable with that very idea? How many of you think it's even weird to think that God would say thank you to us, right? And yet we're one with God. So every time we say thank you, what is God doing? Thanking. But somehow we don't take that. And so many of the things we do, as above, so below, but on that, we don't. And so I just want you to take a moment, and I'll also ask for more moments later, because those of you who have heard me, you know I always do, to really look at what if we were able to sit with and experience the universe being grateful for us. Not in an arrogant way, not in a narcissistic way, but just in the truth. We are the expression of the divine made manifest. There is an awe and a wonder in that. And for me, there is an awe and a wonder in the idea of having an experience of gratitude from God, from the divine. I also found another quote that deeply impacted me as I went through this. It's by Carl Jung. If our religion is based on salvation, our chief emotions will be fear and trembling. If our religion is based on salvation, our chief emotions will be fear and trembling. If our religion is based on wonder, our chief emotion will be gratitude. A religion based on salvation brings fear and trembling. A religion based on awe brings gratitude. If any of you understand exactly what that means, please talk to me after the service. Because I am so actually don't, because I'm really enjoying doing this, but there's something there. And it made me realize something about my gratitude. A lot of times, my gratitude, and I suspect others, is actually coming from fear. I'm grateful that my kids are healthy. And that can be coming from a purely oneness place. But a lot of times it isn't. I can tell you where it's coming from. What I'm saying is I'm glad my kids aren't sick, because part of me worries they will be. And I'll be honest, I'm still placating Sky Dad sometimes. There's still a part of me that's in that place that says if I am not grateful enough, something bad may happen. Anyone feel that way? Anyone worry if you don't say thank you for your food, the universe will sweep it away and you'll lose it? Now, a new thought, we know that's not how it works. We know that isn't how abundance works. We know that we are abundant from the inside, from the very spirit of who we are. Abundance and enough are a part of who we are. That is a teaching in unity. And yet, how often, really, when we're talking about our own thank yous, is it really about salvation? Save me from hunger. I am grateful for this food because maybe I'm afraid of being hungry. I'm grateful my children are healthy because I'm afraid they might become sick. That's a salvation piece. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, and I'm not saying we shouldn't say thank you for these things. I'm grateful for that pastrami sandwich. I really am. Lean, really lean. And there's more. There's more. There's gratitude as awe. Gratitude for the cosmos as it is. Gratitude for our oneness. How magnificent is that idea that we are one with the divine? Just take a moment. You, personally, as an individual, are one with God. There is no separation. I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the knowledge that's been given to me around that. So again, I'm not saying that being grateful for a sandwich or being grateful for a car or a job or all these other things isn't a good thing. It is. But I think the spiritual practice that we're being called to is deeper than that. I think it's really lighting up our brains with awe of the truth that we have been blessed with. How many of you have made a decision in the past 3 days that you're grateful for? How many of you have put that in a gratitude journal? I'm glad I did that. I'm grateful to myself. And there are some people, but there really seems to be a tendency to want to thank the outside for what happens. How many of you, by the way, thank the outside, blame the inside? If everything's going great, thank you, God. If things go bad, it's all me. Or my parents. It could go either way. So you see where I'm getting here? It's about oneness and how oneness impacts the very idea of gratitude. How oneness impacts. And that's why I really would ask you to consider, if you do a gratitude practice, and I really suggest you do, it is one of the most magnificent things you can do. Consider doing it after meditation. Consider doing it after prayer. Get into a place where you're no longer afraid. Get into a place where you're no longer comparing or judging. Because gratitude is hard. Has anyone had a tough time with gratitude on a national level for the past year. I'm grateful I live in a democracy. And I'll just say one word, Alabama. Okay, we're not going with there, but I've had a lot of challenge. It has not been a year where gratitude has come easily to me, even though I'm blessed. I know I'm blessed. You've seen my kids. I am not saying they're the cutest children, because we all know your children are the cutest children. Everyone's children is the cutest children. But to me, I'm so grateful. Then why am I so stuck sometimes on being grateful that they're healthy and not just grateful that they are such joyful expressions of God? Why am I grateful that I'm able to give them food rather than just being grateful that I am one with them, they are one with me, we are one with all? Again, please hear, I'm not saying that being grateful for health or grateful for food or grateful for cars or abundance is a bad thing. It's not. But what I'm suggesting is there's more to gratitude. There's deeper to gratitude. And by the way, the other scientific fact, some of you are going to like this, some of you not so much. The older you get, the easier it is for you to be grateful. From a brain chemistry standpoint, it is actually easier for you to be grateful the older you get. And it's because of how different parts of our brain interact. Who here is thrilled to hear that? Anybody? Who here is like, yeah, 30 years, then I'll be happy about that? By the way, the other people are now looking at you going, well, maybe I'm not as grateful because you're... There's an important idea in New Thought that which we are grateful for, we receive more of, right? And that makes sense. Is that a good reason to be grateful? If I'm grateful for this, I'll get more of this. Well, that's nice, but you know what I should really be grateful for? The system. That's an awesome system. It's taking it to that next level. It's saying, I'm grateful for this sandwich, and I am grateful for a universe where pastrami can exist. And that may sound funny, and yeah, it kind of is, but isn't that also true? I am grateful for my kids, but I am grateful for a universe that they live in. And yeah, there's a lot of problems right now that I currently perceive with the country. Yeah, I get that. But I am grateful that they're one with God. I'm grateful I'm one with God. It's moving gratitude to awe and out of salvation. And again, trust me, I very much often pray from a place of salvation. I know it because I'm one with God, God is one with me, and all of that, but I'm still in that place of worry or concern. So I want to repeat one more time, and some of you are going to go, no, it's not, and I realize that. Congratulations on your brain, it is a blessing. But gratitude can be hard. Real gratitude can be rough. There have been times this year I have felt like a one-legged man being asked to be grateful that I still had a leg. And I also want to say something I talked about with one of my colleagues here, and that's that sometimes things happen in life that maybe we really aren't grateful for. Sometimes there are things that are so tragic, so painful, so awful that we aren't grateful for. And maybe we can let go of feeling the need to force ourselves to be grateful or hold ourselves in less because we aren't grateful. And we can focus on the results, because I think we've all had terrible things happen that we aren't grateful for, and yet we are grateful for what we took away. We're grateful for the understanding. We're grateful for the depth. We're grateful for something other part of this. Anybody have a childhood they're really not overly grateful for except for what it turned them into? Yeah. Ever feel bad that you're not grateful? Ever feel like we should be grateful all the time, constantly, because then we would be good people because we know, and the truth is, we're people. That's why there's prayer and meditation. Okay, is meditation easy? Are we okay with that? Are we okay with meditation being work? Being an effort? Is gratitude easy? Or are we okay with it being work? Are we okay with it being a practice? A way of looking at things? So I'd challenge you to do two things. One, I'd like to invite you as part, if you already do gratitude practice, please continue to do it. They really are wonderful on many levels. But I would invite you to add two things. One, really going within and thanking yourself for a decision you made that day. What did you choose to do that day that you're grateful for? What choice did you make? And what I love about this, it's all about perception. How many of you would be grateful that you ate a really good cookie? Anybody? Just me? Okay. Because most of you see where this is going, right? How many of you would be grateful if you made the decision not to eat the really good cookie? But you're still grateful either way. Do you see how that works? Do you see how by doing that we are owning our own gratitude? This has nothing to do with what happened outside of it. It has nothing to do with whether I had a good pastrami sandwich or a bad pastrami sandwich. It has to do with decisions I made that I'm grateful for. And the other, once you've done that and you're in a meditative space and you're in a place, can you experience even the concept that God is grateful for your existence? That your very being here is something that the divine is grateful for. That every action you take that makes the world a better place is something that God, the God that is all of us, not Sky Dad judging us, but God, the Creator, the creation, our one, experiences gratitude. And it experiences gratitude through us. We are the mechanism for that feeling, right? But can we allow that? Can we allow ourselves the audacity of knowing that if God is all there is and I am one with God, God is grateful for me as I am grateful for God? Because who am I? I am one with God. Who are you? You're one with God. It's not audacious to expect a sense of gratitude from the universe. It's acknowledging on a deeper level than I ever have before just how it works. That I am one with all that is, and all that is one with me. And I invite you to consider doing those spiritual practices and knowing that. And I want to express how grateful I am, truly, awe-inspiringly grateful I am for this community. This community of people, this community of faith, this community of place. I get to walk in here every Sunday. I get to do it more. I consider myself also grateful for that. And know that I will be in a place that is filled with love. That I am in a place that is filled with people who are aware that when they look at someone else, they are seeing the divine made manifest. That's a very special thing. I think sometimes even I take for granted how wonderful it is to be able to leave the rest of the world and the rest of the hubbub and the rest of this. I also never check my news while I'm in this room. Because the truth is, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for each and every one of you who came here today, even though you probably thought Wendy was going to be here. I am still grateful for this opportunity to express in this way. And it's deep, and it's real, and it's a spiritual practice. And so again, I invite you, be grateful for the decisions you make. Consider that to be gratitude when you do your gratitude, in addition to the pastrami sandwich or the cookies or the new car. And really consider in the depth of your meditation, in the depth of your spiritual practice, allowing yourself to know that the universe is grateful for what you do. That humanity as a whole is grateful when you smile at that homeless person instead of ignoring them. When you plant a seed in the ground so that a tree will grow. When you pick up trash off the ground. Whatever it is, experience that. Because there may be days when you don't get a pastrami sandwich. Maybe days you don't get a new car. Maybe days when a lot on the outside is just not there. But we can always be thankful for what we do, can't we? We can always find that gratitude inside ourselves with God, alongside of, one with the divine. No one can ever take that. no fate, no experience, no moment of our lives. That's the invitation I bring to you today. Namaste.
Thanks for listening. The Unity Center, transforming lives and healing our world. Check us out Sundays at 9 and 11. Subscribe to our podcasts and download our free app for instant access to a wealth of spiritual teachings, services, and events.